All right, what is up? So this morning I woke up and I had an unbelievably productive morning. On my list of things to do was to shoot another video for YouTube, and this felt like the perfect time to talk about how I manage my time, some little productivity hacks I've picked up over the years. Being a seriously busy dad, husband, business owner. I play in a band, so I'm gigging on weekends as well. Have several businesses, by the way, which I'm overseeing. 2 young ones. It's a lot, right? And I'm sure so many of you feel the same. So today I want to break down what's actually working for me right now, and stick around because at the end I'm going to share my exact system I'm using to dial all this in. So to make this as useful as possible, I've broken it down into kind of 6 categories that we'll go through one by one. First up is plan. Planning is where it all starts. So if you want to have a productive day, if you want to manage your time well, I believe it starts the night before. So planning the day ahead has been one of the best time management strategies I've ever started using for loads of reasons, really. I think sleep is so important when it comes to training or work, health, fitness, diet, everything. Sleep is so vital. And I can't switch off in the evening without knowing what I've got planned for the next day. I need to know that if I've got these tasks rattling around in my head, I've got to get them off, pen to paper or in a note or whatever, and just offload it from my brain, and I'll go to sleep so much quicker. So planning your major tasks for the next day is absolutely key. After you've done that, the next morning when you wake up, you actually need to execute. You need to do these things. I am a firm believer, and it's done so well for me, of getting the hardest parts of the day done first. Getting your hardest work, your most challenging work, your most important work, whatever that is, get up and get it done. Being ahead on my hardest work means then when everybody else is coming alive, which is like turning up at the office at like 9:30 or whatever, or you start to get emails coming in, I've already put away the work that I had to get done, or the task I had to get done, and then I could be there to support other people or to get on with work that maybe is a little bit less taxing for me. So that leads us on neatly to time blocking. You've probably seen just about every productivity bro or entrepreneurial person talk about time blocking. First up, you either put a block of like an hour, hour and a half, and then at the end of it you have almost like a reward. And that reward for me is sometimes I'll do an hour and a half and then I'll go and have my first meal of the day, or I'll do an hour and a half and then I'll have my gym session. The other thing you can do, the second thing I do, is you can switch tasks, like dramatically switch. So the gym one's a good example of that, right? So if you're sat at a desk and you're doing something, you're locked in for an hour and a half, you then do a huge shift and you say, I'm going to go out for a half an hour walk. You move from a cognitively intense task over to like a physically intense one. Or you can even move from, say, like a heavy writing task, something really focused, like replying to like huge important emails, and then flip to a completely creative task, like maybe posting and creating social media content. So the idea is to switch heavily between these things, and it sort of uses a different part of your brain. I find you feel like your sort of fatigue and willpower is all sort of replenished and you're ready to go again. Now, bringing these ideas together is my calendar, and I live and die by my calendar. I'm not exaggerating when I say if I got logged out of my calendar, I wouldn't know who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, what appointments I have, everything. So I do this in Google Calendar. Let me show you. My calendar looks like this pretty much every month. In fact, that looks like a quiet month. A lot of it is pretty rammed out like this. And I use Google Calendar for a few reasons, because even though I'm very much in the Apple ecosystem, it's very easy to have multiple calendars, multiple addresses, it's including like business Gmails and stuff. So I've got a calendar for Guitar Gear giveaway. I've got a calendar for my holding company where I need to have certain investment meetings or banking meetings and stuff like that. We even have a separate calendar for Guitar Gear giveaway just for people's holiday time. I've then got one with just my wife, and basically it enables me to have all of these color-coded chunks everywhere, all these appointments. Everybody can put their stuff in that they need to be visible for me, and then I can see them all as per category. So it also means that then my wife doesn't need to see all of my work appointments all day. She can just be logged into our own calendar, and that works perfectly for me. Now, the key with this is taking the calendar and taking the idea of time blocking and merging those two things together. I have got my calendar to a situation now where nearly every part of every day is accounted for. And that might sound a little bit maniacal to some of you, like maybe a little bit over the top, but over the years of sort of having empty spaces in the calendar, I started to realize if you don't make life happen for you, life will just happen to you. People will fill your time with stuff that maybe you don't want to do, and naturally your brain will push you towards doing stuff that you don't necessarily even want to do. You'll spend that time scrolling on social media or watching a TV show that you're not that interested in. Where if you actually put in the calendar, a great example for me is I'm going to do an hour of guitar practice, or I'm going to do an hour of songwriting, or I'm going for a 30-minute walk at this time. If you put them in, you will just do them. And that way you can then enjoy the things like having a little scroll on Instagram or watching a bit of Netflix, guilt-free. Right, this last point before we dive into the systems and the apps that I use to manage all of this is something I learned from Derek Sivers. He's a legend who built a company called CD Baby. He's written some mega books as well, and is quite often on the Tim Ferriss podcast, which is where I discovered him. And he has what I guess is kind of a mantra of hell yes or no. And for me, that has become like a way of living. So I used to find myself oversubscribed to things that I didn't necessarily want to do. I really suffered from that kind of fear of missing out. I actually kind of learned this through being in a band where we would say yes to some gigs just because we were desperate to do some gigs. And then a month later, we'd get offered a way better gig on the same date. But we didn't really have a system in place to say, well, should we do this gig or should we not? And I just started to extrapolate that over my entire life. So you can't fill your calendar, fill your time, and fill your life with these activities that to you are like mediocre. You know, you got to figure out what is valuable to you, because at the end of the day, time is our most valuable asset. We do not get it back. We have only got one trip in this life. So you just got to get on with the things that you really want to do. Follow your own path, do your own thing, and enjoy the entire journey. All right, to wrap it up, we're going to go into the system and the apps that I use. Now, I have been down an absolute rabbit hole on this. I've seen just about every piece of information out there when it comes to like the getting things done mentality and using apps like Notion and all of these over-the-top time management kind of dedicating things. And for me, I tried most of them and didn't get on with any of them. They all created too much friction between me actually deciding what I need to do and then getting it done. Managing those tools became like a job in itself. So I've fortunately relied on trusty Apple. I didn't even realize the Reminders app was there, so I've started using that, and I use Notes and I use Google Calendar. Now, I'm sure if you're not on an iPhone or if you're on something different, there will be equivalent apps out there. But what I like about these is they obviously flow across all my devices. So I generally use my phone and my MacBook more than anything. So I have this, I'll show you how I have my reminders set up, okay? So in my reminders, I have 3 at the bottom here. I'll turn that brightness down a little bit. You guys might be able to see a bit better. So at the bottom there, I've got tasks, morning routine, and evening routine. Now my morning routine is the same every day. It's just in there ready to go. Shower and get ready, see the kids, have a coffee, journal, deep work, and then cardio. That's it. That's my morning routine every single day. And I just literally go on there and I'll tick the reminders and then untick them at the end of the day and just tick them again the next day. Same with my evening routine, plan the next day. So what I said at the beginning about writing out the tasks that you believe will make the following day an absolute win, it will make it a success for you, offloading that. So I plan the next day, I get ready for bed, I read for 20 minutes, And then once a week, I do like a weekly journal on my phone. Then the tasks app is where this bit comes in for planning the next day. So I've got 3 categories here, okay? So we've got today's tasks. So that's obviously the ones that I'm writing the night before. Then I have a personal section and a business section. And this is just where I write down things that I have to get done at some point. So they're reminders. Like, for example, in like December, I might have had my tax bill from the accountant and I'll say, you know, I need to pay this by this time or whatever. And I'll just put it in there because then nearer the time, I'll move it in to my today. That's what I like about this reminders app is you can drag around these things. So like here on my personal one, we've got another new security camera for the house I've got to fit. Well, I'm not doing that right now, but I'll probably do it on Saturday or Sunday, and then I can drag it up to my today's tasks. Then my today's task is where I'll write out those tasks that I said I have to get done for the day to make it an absolute win. The Google Calendar thing, like I said, I generally time block everything. I'll load up a day here so you guys can kind of see what that maybe looks like. All right, here's a good example of what a day might look like. So here in the yellow, we've got wake up and set up the day for GGG. So that means list the new competitions, get everything ready on the site. Then shower, get ready, coffee with the kids and Megan. So a little block in there of an hour just to hang with everyone. Then half an hour block of emails. Then I've got a video and photo content. So that's actually filming stuff. Then a little break in there, a little hour break. Then I've got ads and ad research. So basically putting the ads together. Then you can see I usually would have guitar shopping and then edit some photos, but I also had an eye test that day. And then from 5 o'clock, I put family dinner and kids bath time. And that's from 5 till 7:30 when they go to bed. So I've literally put in the 2.5 hour block of when I'm gonna like hang out with the kids and stuff. But by putting it in there, it means I'm not obviously gonna override it with anything. I've committed that to myself. I've said I'm gonna do it and it's in the calendar. You have to make your own life happen and fill your time. So that's it. That's my system. That's my little tips. I hope it has been helpful. Yeah, if you're new around here, by the way, hi, I'm Sam. I do these videos every single week. So if you're interested, please hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment if you've got any questions. I'm always up for the chat. I'm loving the journey of growing this YouTube channel and talking about the things that I love. And I'd love to meet more of you in the comments. So yeah, let's do this. And I'll see you for the next video next Friday.